guys, welcome back to another episode of Tank Chats. Finally, forgive me the look. I'm in BLC right now, so we're actually on the training grounds right now. But you guys don't see me too army sometimes, but here we have it. So today's video is going to be on the M26 Pershing. This is actually quite just a little rare version of the M26, so we're going to hop into it and take a look at it. All right, so development and production of this tank started in 1944. The development of this tank came from the T-23 series, which actually was intended to replace the Sherman, but that never took foot. However, the T-23 turrets were used on top of the C-21. T-23 turrets were used on top of upgraded variants of the Sherman tank to handle the high-velocity 76mm gun. So with that, development of that led into this tank here. So this is actually an M26A1 Pershing. You can see up here the shot of the gun. This is the 90mm gun, but it has a bore evacuator on it. So you have this signature piece right here, as seen on the M26s, which were used in Korea, which is when this tank was upgraded. At first, this tank was actually classified as a heavy tank. When it was sent over to Europe in early 1945, it was classified as a heavy tank. It was intended to counteract Tigers, Panthers, and Panzers, which not many were used in combat, but the fair that saw action, it was kind of about 50-50. They knocked out some tanks, but also a couple got some unlucky hits on them, and a couple were knocked out as well. These actually led, a lot of these M26s that were sent towards the end of the war for World War II were leading the charges into the Rhineland. So they out-capture some of the key cities on the route to Berlin. So with the end of the European theater service for these tanks, there was actually, with the continued fighting in Okinawa and losses mounting in the Pacific theater of like M4 Sherman tanks and M3 Stuarts, things like that, a batch of 12 of these Pershings was actually sent for the Battle of Okinawa on 31 May 1945. But because of delays and like cost of production and things like that, they did not arrive until August 4th. By then it was too late. Most of the fighting in Okinawa was finished up, and Victory in Japan Day soon followed on September 2nd. With that, we'll get into history in Korea. All right, so getting into a brief history of when these tanks were sent to Korea. Interesting fact that I actually just learned from research is that three poorly conditioned M26s in a depot in Japan were actually sent to form a makeshift tank platoon towards the beginning of the Korean War because all the armor had not arrived yet. After that, more medium tank battalions and heavy tank battalions started to show up, and this tank at this time was then classified as like a medium tank at this point. So that's what happened with that. And the M26s fared well in combat against North Korean armor because it was the T-34-85 most of the time from World War II, which was a good tank for the Second World War, but the North Koreans didn't know how to use them as well as the Russians did. So these fared pretty well, and I think the numbers we crunched, they saw there was like 120 tanks knocked out in combat, 120 North Korean tanks knocked out in combat, and 19 probable or 18 probable, something like that, with a mix of all the armor that was sent over. So they fared pretty well against North Korean armor. But after November of 1950, there was rarely any tank battles encountered during the Korean War at this point. So these were mainly used as mobile artillery pieces at that point. So basically they would shoot, move, and provide fire support. After that, obviously with it being in the 1950s, these tanks started to get phased out because they were being replaced by the M46s, and the video we did last time, 2 times ago, the M47s, which were now, so this tank was starting to be phased out. By the mid-1950s, it was phased out of service, and she hung up her cap and retired. All right, so with that, we'll hop into the tour of the vehicle, you guys. All right, so just like in any other video, guys, we're hopping right into the front of the tank tour. So you can see your mount is missing here for the 30 cal, but this would be your standard 30 cal right there. You would have the other one up here in the turret, your gunner sight right there, and the upgraded M26A1 9mm gun with the bore evacuator, which would have 70 rounds. As you can see, this is a 1st Armored Division, 100th Armored Regiment, Bravo Company tank, 1st Platoon, 2nd vehicle from the fender markings. You have your front fenders right here, your track links, you got your iron bolt lifting plugs right here, you got a little mount here for extra track links, and right here, they're missing, but these would be the mounts for your headlights, and these would be the bush guards for the headlights. You have your crew hatches here, and when we hop into the actual crew positions of the vehicle, we'll go more in depth into it. But right here, this will be your driver, and this would be your bow gunner / radio operator. So after the headlights and the crew positions here, we also got the front slope, obviously, which is slanted, I'd say probably like 60, 65 degrees. It was 102 millimeters of armor, which is equivalent to 4 inches of steel. The turret could be a little thicker at points. It would be maybe 200 millimeters, about like 6 to 8 inches of pure steel on the turret. So with that, we'll actually hop up onto the turret and look at the crew positions. All right, so hopping up on top of the vehicle, you guys, you got your 2 crew positions here. We're actually gonna be able to do something a little rare for you guys. Since the ball mount's missing for the 30 cal, we'll actually show you a little bit of the inside. I'll have my buddy get his flashlight and we'll shine it up in there. Right here is your radio operator / bow gunner's driver position. You got his vision periscope right here and his hatch. Where the cameraman is standing, if you wanna get a shot of that, is where the driver would be located. And he's got his periscope underneath him there. Right here on the turret, like I said, your M26A1 90mm gun. This signature bore evacuator is what would give that away as the upgraded gun. Right here you got your mantlet, iron bolt lifting plugs, gunner sight, and then right there where that other hole is where the other 30 cal would be. So with that, we'll get on top of the turret. All right, hopping on top of the turret, you guys. Right here you got your commander's cupola. You got his direct vision slots right here. Some of the spots still have the glass, some don't. It's just like bulletproof glass. Right here is where the hatch would open up. This is where the commander would be. In front of him, right there where the cameraman is, that's where the gunner would be. And this is actually his vision periscope right here. And as I said earlier, the gunner sight would be right there. So his periscope's actually missing on this vehicle. But then over here, you have the loader's hatch and his periscope. You have a mount for a 50 caliber machine gun back here, or they can mount a 32, whatever they'd want to do. So they could do that. And back here is where your combo equipment will go. This is where the antenna would feed out of the turret and provide radio communication. And then if you want to get other shots of the turret here, well, actually we can talk more about that on the side, but I'll go over it up here as well. So over here, this would be used for extra equipment storage or anything like that. They would put jerry cans, they would put extra bags, equipment, supplies that they would need. They would put those there. On this side, these mounts actually right here are for track links. So spare track links could act as extra armor, and in case they broke track or needed to fix track. So with that, we'll hop down and go into the side profile of the vehicle. Hopping into the side profile of the tank, you guys, you have your storage boxes up here on the side. As I mentioned earlier, this sponson right here, or whatever you want to call it, for extra baggage and jerry cans, whatever they wanted to put there. So that's your side profile of the turret. Then you have your 6 road wheels. You have the front support road wheel. You have the 5 other road wheels that support the track as it goes along. You have your rear drive sprocket put in the back. So when they started adapting the main battle tank is when they started switching the drive sprocket to the back of the tanks. So that's how that started. So this is actually one of the pioneers in that vehicle development. And also to add on to how I was talking about the road wheels, this is a simple torsion bar suspension system that was developed after the Sherman and like with the Chafees and stuff like that. So that's when that development started as well. All right, hopping into the back of the vehicle, you guys. So you got your rear fenders here, obviously. Something we are very familiar with is the tow pintle for towing other tanks and other vehicles. In here you have the Ford GAF engine with a range of 100 miles, 500 horsepower. Just like I say in all my other videos, if you take off the no fun switch, the speed governor, you could probably do 30 miles an hour, because this was a heavier tank. Right here you have the travel lock for if they want to turn the gun around and lock the gun into a travel lock so they could drive with the turret to the rear. And then right here, following the engine, you have your exhaust. Right here, this is where the exhaust would come out. I'm trying to think if it's this or this. I believe it's this. This would be the talk box that would feed directly into the commander. Infantry or support troops behind could just call up, be like, hey, yo, my guy, what's going on? And talk to the commander. So that's how that would work. Then you got extra storage bustles in the back. And you have your rear fender lights would be right here. And they would also have blackout drive markers just like we have today. So that pretty much covers the vehicle, you guys. Its history and the background. With that, we'll get around to the front and do the closing. normally you guys don't see me filming, but the cameraman Copera here is actually going to help me out, and he is going to shine a light so you guys can actually see the interior of the vehicle. So take a look inside there, you guys. I'm going to try and focus it for you. Actually see everything. You can see she's in decent shape, a little rusty, but you can see like the turret basket and everything in there. So I just thought that was really cool that we'd actually be able to show you a little bit of the interior. Can you shine the light over there a little bit more? See if we can get, yep, there you go. So right there, you guys can actually see inside. So that's pretty cool. I think that's awesome. So we were proud to bring you this video, guys, and we'll get it uploaded here shortly. We just want to say thank you very much for tuning in to Episode Chats. This is going to go on the playlist. Another video I'm proud to bring you guys. We might actually have another surprise guest tank come in while I'm here in BLC. But for now, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you again.